Good morning, watch nerds. First of all, let's deal with the elephant in the room. I'm not interested in the politics behind Chinese produced merchandise. Anyone that is will probably have to throw away their television, their toaster, their iPhone, and won't be able to drive a car because of the components that have come from the said country. China are by far the largest producer of consumables in the world, and whether you like it or not, that won't be changing soon. Secondly, I'm fully aware there are factories in China producing fakes. I in no way condone the production of these illegal watches and wouldn't wear or buy one. Okay, we all know they're capable of producing some rubbish, but if people want to buy rubbish, somebody's going to make it. What I want to talk to you about today are the watches that are coming out of China that put many other watches to shame. I accept that most, but not all, Chinese brands have little heritage, and many, but not all, take inspiration from other manufacturers' designs. So if brand name, heritage and history are your priorities, I suggest you continue paying more for watches than you need to and turn this video off. That doesn't mean that I don't own watches made in Switzerland, the USA, Italy or France, because I do, but I see all watches as the sum of their parts. However, there are limits, and I believe the Chinese quite often get their branding hopelessly wrong. So let's try and define a Chinese watch, because that in itself isn't that straightforward. There are companies such as Seagull who produce movement and original design watches, and they have been around for many years. They are unashamedly Chinese and even use Chinese script on their dials. Then we have watches such as Steel Dive, Adis Dive, Proxima, and probably at the top of the pile, San Martin. These brands don't advertise they're Chinese, but at the same time they don't deny it either. The majority of their watches are what we know as homages, but they also make some of their own designs as well, especially San Martin of late. Of course, homage watches are always a cause of controversy amongst watch enthusiasts, but as far as I'm concerned, if they're legal and they give pleasure to people, we should respect their existence. These watches are often sold by AliExpress, but please note there is no such thing as an AliExpress watch, as there isn't an eBay watch or an Amazon watch. AliExpress is just a selling platform, and most of these watches can be bought direct or from other online retailers. Now I'm going to show you a few examples. This is my Adis Dive AD2118. Pretty, isn't it? Making it tick is a Seiko NX35 movement. It's got a sapphire crystal with AR coating. It's made of 316L stainless steel, and as you can see, the case finishing is excellent. The bracelet is a nicely produced Jubilee with solid end links and a milled clasp. It's loosely based on an old Grand Seiko, so the dial and hands are absolutely stunning. Now this watch costs less than £60 including carriage, and only took a week to arrive. It was my intention originally to buy it, review it and sell it, but I thought it was so nice I ended up keeping it. Unfortunately, this is one of those watches with poor branding. Now Adis Dive originally made dive watches, but stuck with the same brand name for its dressy sports watch. Now even the back reads Diver's 100 metre water resistance. However, considering the price, I'm going to forgive it for that. Next up is the only watch in my collection I consider a direct homage. I don't normally buy these, but this one is so damn good I couldn't help myself. These are around the $300 mark, depending on what movement you want inside. I went for the cheapest option, the PT5000, which is a Chinese movement made by HK Industries. It is in actual fact a clone of the ETA 2824. It's a high beat movement which runs with great accuracy and in my experience is very reliable. The specification and finishing on this watch is ridiculously good. It's the Ixtao and IPOS 5303. IPOS, by the way, are the Chinese watch community, whilst Ixtao is the actual brand. Finally, here is my San Martin SN0131, which happens to be my watch of the day. This is their own design, although the black ruffle dial does slightly resemble another watch. I bought this nearly new one for less than £200, but they're presently available new and direct for only $255. That's of November 2023. It's got a Seiko NH35 movement in it, which is a decent workhorse, but it's not generally considered a premium calibre. That said, this one runs within cost parameters. Now, just about every element of this watch is outstanding. The intricate case finishing is out of this world. The dome sapphire looks brilliant, and the bracelet with its on-the-fly adjustable clasp is as good as anything in my collection, and I actually include some very expensive Swiss watches in that. Then we get into the grey zone. Watches that are made in China, but the brand is based in another country. Strangely enough, some of the so-called watch enthusiasts that moan about Chinese brands let these ones go under the radar. Now, even large brands that are sold in high street shops have many of their watches made in China, some of which may have a Chinese stamp on the back, whilst others haven't. The watch I'm holding here is the Axios Tribune. It's a sister brand to Zelos, and it's based in Singapore. I'm sure many of you know there are quite a few Singapore-based micro brands. One of these will set you back about $399, less if you've got a voucher of some kind. It's got a Japanese 9000 series Miyota high beat movement in it, but apart from that, every other component would have been almost certainly made in China. I can assure you that every element of this watch, from the quality Horween leather strap right through to the case finishing, is absolutely superb. By the way, this isn't the original strap. Here is another watch that falls into the same category. This is the Atticus Meteora. The owner works, or did work, for NTH, who also produced some excellent watches. Now, these aren't particularly cheap, to be honest, and will set you back around $699. For memory, I paid about half that and bought an excellent used one from an eBay seller. The watch has a Miyota 9015 inside it, and it's produced to an incredible standard. I particularly love the silver linen dial. I just wonder how much a Swiss-made equivalent would cost. We then have watches that are put together in a brand owner's factory, probably based in a more fashionable country. But just about all the parts, other than the movement, are sourced from China. In general, these will cost you a little bit more, although that doesn't mean they're actually any better. However, if you do have an issue with any of the watches, it does mean they won't have to return them to their supplier, which may create a delay. Now, this is my second-hand Mandala, which I believe is one of those watches. It's designed, screwed together and QC tested in Melbourne, Australia, and it's superb. Again though, I can almost guarantee you that all the parts, other than the movement, will come out of China. Now here's my Steinhardt Marine 38, which is a watch I adore. Now, Steinhardt are a German company who have their watches produced in Switzerland. They always use Swiss movements, but it's generally believed many of their other parts are sourced from China. Now, I can't confirm this, but it's generally believed to be the case amongst the watch community. Now, by the way, the definition of a Swiss watch is a timepiece that has had at least 60% of the manufacturing costs produced in Switzerland. So, like it or not, guys, buying a watch that's got nothing to do with China is actually quite difficult, unless you want to lay out a fortune, of course. Now, as it happens, I do have a few of these. On the left, as you're looking at it, is my Rolex Oyster Perpetual, and on the right is my Tudor Black Bay 36. Both are superb watches, but other than the top grade movements inside, especially in the Rolex, it's hard to define why these watches can demand such a high price compared with some of the other watches I've showed you today. I have little doubt there'll be people who adamantly disagree with what I've said today, and live and breathe by the name on the dial and claim country of origin, and I 100% totally respect those opinions. What I won't accept though is that the Chinese aren't capable of producing some excellent watches at incredible prices. I think the watch market has changed considerably over the last 10 years, and in my opinion for the better. For this reason, I pay tribute to the Chinese watch industry and thank them for making quality watches available to the masses. Now, my subscribership has stagnated over the last few months, so if you haven't already done so, please click on the subscribe button. Also click on the like button if you've enjoyed this video, and for heaven's sake please leave your comments below, because I always reply. Oh, and enjoy the rest of your day.